Oh boy, we've got some more familiar names on here. Wonder how that happened. We have Erin McDonald, KQ4IES of College of William and Mary also, and the other parts of her team who are there. Student reflections on NRAO exploring the electromagnetic spectrum program.
Okay, so hi, we are talking about the NRAO's Exploring the Electromagnetic Spectrum program. It was briefly touched upon in the last group that was presenting, but we just want to talk a little bit more about it. This is going to be a little bit less of a scientific presentation than you guys have all been doing today, and a lot more just about like what it is and explaining our experiences. So to start, we're just going to introduce ourselves. My name is Erin McDonald, KQ4IES, and I am a junior at the College of William and Mary. I study physics and applied mathematics.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nijan McBride-Stubbs. I'm a current senior at Prairie View A&M University, and I'm getting my degree with my major in business and my minor in dance.
And I'm Abigail Swanberg. I'm also a junior at William and Mary. I am studying business and history.
So what is the program? The program is entitled Exploring the Electromagnetic Spectrum, and it is a class run by the NRAO, which teaches students about different facets of ham radio, and consists of a blend of classroom style as well as hands-on teaching experiences for students to be able to learn about these different experiences, which includes propagation, radio waves and signals, electric components, radio equipment, Morse code, and soldering. Along with these learning materials, we were also encouraged to participate in bonding activities to get to know one another. Erin is actually one of the very first people I met in my cohort, and it's crazy that we're here together right now. And yeah, the goal of the program was to have students obtain their general class license, their technician licenses and their general class licenses, as well as to increase the amount of people of color and LGBTQ youth on the air. And the curriculum is currently being developed for widespread use amongst different clubs.
Yeah, so first off, we just want to thank the ARDC that provided funding for this project. And that funding went into lots of different things that made this possible. First and foremost, of course, was that it paid for people to actually design the curriculum. Huge shout out to Jesse and Danielle, who are responsible for such a huge amount of this. We also, all students who are going through the program received a modest stipend. This was just to help us have the opportunity to do this because a lot of us are young and in college, and college is stressful, time-consuming, and expensive. And so when you're dedicating time to something, it's nice to be able to like have that little bit of money. I know that I wouldn't have been able to do this program if I didn't have that, because I would have had to spend more hours at a job. And it also, all students' exams fees got reimbursed for technician general license. And then there were also some physical materials to support learning that we'll talk about later. And then there's support for trips like to the Green Bank Observatory that Mia and Xander just talked about. And then also for things like this. And we are very grateful to be here. Oh, yeah, it's still me. Okay, so the program consisted of 2 cohorts going through it. I was a student in the first cohort and a peer mentor for the second cohort. And the first cohort consisted of 10 students, and it was a 20-week program. The first bit of it was throughout the school year from January to May, and that was going through the technician's license. And then over the summer, there was an optional 10-week program to learn all about the general license that I and I believe Nijan? Yeah, and Nijan participated in.
And I'm a member of the second cohort, so there are 20 of us. This program is a 2 college semester long program. It started back in August and it's still going on currently. Last semester, we all earned our technician license, and right now we're working towards our general license. And we have some lovely mentors like Erin.
Yes, I am.
So the curriculum for this program involves working on online assignments every week. Those include watching videos, answering short essay questions, and taking quizzes that judge how much you learned that week. You're also reading over the ARL handbook, and also we're reading the No Nonsense guide currently. And so also every week we have a 2-hour-long Zoom meeting on Monday nights. If anybody ever wants to join in, sometimes we do nets in the second hour. So the first hour is just going over general instructions. So we get updates on what's currently going on in the ham community, and then we go over the last week's lesson and look at what's to come up in the next week. And then in the second hour, we work on professional development, which Nejan is going to be telling you a little bit more about.
Yeah, so...
No, just
Here.
take that.
Okay. Sorry. So in the second hour, that included either guest speakers or cohort building, and then for the second cohort, they included peer mentoring. So I'm going to speak a lot of it, on our guest speakers that we had while I was a part of the program, but start off, there was Ria Jairam, N2RJ, and Doug Lindsay Jr., KZ3H, who came and spoke to us about their experience, being hams and on the air. Ria, who started at the age of 5, and she got licensed in the Trinidad and Tobago. And Doug, who got his license in the 70s and was made to take his test 3 times because they did not believe that he, as an African-American man, could have passed 3 times. Some other guests that we had were Arthur Clemens, N8BLK from GLARG, who talked to us about how processing works. And then my personal favorite was Brenda Muhammad, KD2 UCQ, who talked to us about focusing our resources for community engagement, or FORCE, which is a mutual aid program that she started in the 90s, which seeks to provide access to resources to community members who otherwise wouldn't have those resources. And then, obviously, honorable mention to Dan Romanchik, who taught our general class, the class. It was really fun, and I loved every moment of it. And then for cohort building, we did a bunch of different things. I remember Erin and I were in another group, and we were doing like a scavenger hunt, and we had to figure out, I think it was trying to do something with the phonetic alphabet. Anyway, it was all types of different things to figure something out. It was ham related, and then we were also getting to know each other.
Oh, to talk a little bit about some of the guest speakers we had in the second cohort. Our most recent guest speaker was Storm Malone, who was teaching us about soldering so that we hopefully don't burn ourselves like Xander. I'm so sorry. We've also had guest speakers that came in and talked about building like a STEM identity, and different scholarships are available if you want to continue your study. Most of them are focused on physics, which was disappointing a little bit to me, but I guess it's good for everyone else. Also, in the second cohort, the peer mentors led our group building activities. And so Erin's led several where they made weekly PowerPoint, or how many have you made at this point?
Made 4, I think.
Yeah, where we go in and we all get into like Zoom breakout rooms and we answer questions and just get to know each other better.
Yeah, I can briefly talk about that a little bit more, which also, it's really hard to come up with the images for a presentation like this when you don't have any graphs or data or anything. So the screenshots you see at the bottom are little screenshots from the presentations that I was giving. So little like fun ways to incorporate HamSCI that Daniela developed in the cohort building to try and like get a group and connection, because it's really important to like, if you're going to continue in radio, have those connections. And then what I was doing as my role as a peer mentor was I developed a series of conversations that was just trying to get students focused on like actually how they're going to use their radio licenses after getting them, and how they're going to integrate into the ham community, because it's a difficult thing to do. Like, you can get your license, but then you're like, okay, now what? And I was just trying to help them figure out that now what. So as I mentioned earlier, we also got interactive materials to help support our learning. This included an introductory electronics kit, a Morse code key, a multimeter, and soldering equipment. And throughout the lessons, there were like designed little activities to help support the topics that we were learning about to get tested. Well, for everything except the soldering equipment, because apparently it was a liability risk to have us do that. Okay. And then, so we want to talk a little bit about kind of the impact of the program. And obviously the three of us can be up here talking about our experiences, but that's not totally representative. So we asked the other students before coming here to give us little quotes and talk to us about their experience. And just kind of to summarize, what ended up happening was a lot of the students who were already part of physics or heavily STEM like identity majors, they said that this program really helped them kind of think about STEM in a different way and connect it to a lot more like practical uses, and that oftentimes in their learning they would find connections that they didn't expect to ham radio, and it was just another thing to think about in the back of their brain. And then a lot of our students in this program actually had no STEM background at all, or a very limited one, and it was really important to them to help, like, they thought about science in different ways, and they had never really thought about the EMS before. Yeah, and specifically for me, I like as an engineering, my college doesn't have an engineering major, so I'm doing physics with like a concentration like applied physics, but it's like a lot of electronics and stuff. And there were just so many times where I was doing stuff in class and I was like, wow, this is actually relevant to like radio. Who knew that it's everywhere? Yeah.
So last year, I was walking with Erin one evening, and they were talking about this program they were a part of that was teaching them about amateur radio. And I'm like, wow, I haven't ever heard the words amateur radio come out the mouth of someone my own age. Unless they're like talking about like older family members. And I was so excited because I had really been wanting to learn how to do amateur radio, but I didn't know where to start or like who to ask. And also I was a college student and insanely busy and didn't really have the time to sit down and work that out by myself. And so when Erin told me that we were doing this program again, I'm like, great, I'm gonna apply, even though I'm not like a STEM major anymore. I was at one point. But I was like, okay, I'll apply. I'll see if I get it. And I got into the program, and it's been super accessible for me not having that background STEM knowledge. And it's like helped me remember how much I really just enjoy learning about science.
For me, my mom actually told me about the program. She works with Aura, and they shared the program with her, and she shared it with me. So yeah, like I said, I'm a business major with my minor in dance. So no, ham radio isn't necessarily something that comes to me. But I definitely wanted to pick up a new hobby, and I love just always learning about new things. I'm very active on campus. I'm always dipping my hand somewhere. So I just love learning new things and being a part of new things. As well as when I heard that the program was looking for people of color and LGBTQ youth, I was like, sounds like me. So I signed right up. And yeah, the impact that that's had, learning about force, and like Erin said, there was a lot of things that pertain to ham radio that I didn't realize also pertain to even me in my business range. And as far as social entrepreneurship, as well as different business ventures that other hams were taking part in. And that encouraged me just to want to get out more. Not only that, but after hearing Doug Lindsay's story about what he was going through, just like I always tell my peers, it's important for us to vote because, all the trials and tribulations we went through to be able to vote. Same thing here. It's important to go out and get your license just because, why not? And further than that, it has intrigued my interest in the electromagnetic spectrum itself, and I plan to do a little bit more research on that in the future pertaining to the EMS and free energy.
Okay, so you might be going through all this and thinking, okay, great, 30 students got their licenses. That's great, but why did they do this? Well, so the entire goal of this program was really to develop a curriculum that can later be more widely distributed, to try and get a larger youth program, larger youth turnout in ham radio through this program, because it creates a more accessible way for people to get into this hobby. It has a lot of supporting things in it that talk about more than just here's the electronics to it. It talks a little bit about here's how you can use your license, here's how you can stay safe on the air, here are all the regulatory things that you need to know, which are very useful. And there are still a lot of details being hashed out about how exactly this is going to be distributed, but it will most likely be through some sort of online learning program. Supernova is what we have been using, and there will be different modules that students can go through. And at the end, there will hopefully be more youth with licenses, which I think we can all agree is a good thing. So thank you.
Any questions?
Do we have time?
Yes, we have time.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you very much for coming. I'm really glad you're here, and you did a wonderful job presenting, and I really hope you got something valuable out of your program, and it sounds like you did. Let's give them another round of applause. So are there any questions? We have a comment and a question. Phil's going to.
So I was the faculty advisor at Virginia Tech when Nathaniel was there, but before then I taught a lot of amateur radio classes, and I have much over 100 kids that I've given a license. When I had practical classes where we would do soldering, I wore the same shirt. It was a young person with a soldering iron in their hand, and the caption said, "If it smells like chicken, you're holding the wrong end." and I never had anyone burn their hand.
So you just have to have the right messaging.
Exactly. Got to have the right messaging. And so one of the things that Phil and I both are very happy about as ARDC helped fund this. I was a board director. Phil's still a board director for ARDC. We're very happy to see you do this. And both of us have spent much of our amateur life building amateur radio satellites. It's not really understood well that there are hundreds of amateur radio satellites in orbit. So just kind of put that in the back of your mind, because we're kind of biased.
I think Adam had a comment.
Hold on. There's a microphone here, which I can go that way with.
I had a question, I can make it quick. How do you make ham radio appealing to non-STEM majors? And I'm asking this as a very much STEM major myself.
Great.
I'm going to hand that over to the non-STEM majors.
So for me, it was a lot of, my family was really into it. And so I grew up around it, and they were like, here's this thing, and I like talking. So it was not that hard of a sell to get me into it. And for most of my friends who aren't STEM majors, a lot of our major is just communication. So as soon as you get them to know, oh, you get to talk to new people and meet new people, like it kind of is the same aspect as I'm in a sorority, and it's really similar, like, to that. Like, honestly, you just get to go and you get to meet new people and talk to new people, and it's just making new connections. Do you have anything to add?
No, I would definitely agree. All the satellites and the grapes and those things kind of. But I definitely push the connecting with other people, growing as a community, getting to know, what different people are doing across the globe.
Other questions for our students? Oh, Bob, let me go over here with it. There you go.
Do you have any advice for the next for radio clubs and adult amateur radio operators who worry about a next generation of ham radio operator?
As far as advice goes, I would say help us or help them. Do your best to teach as much as you can so that your knowledge isn't going with you. Make sure to keep on and educate the next generation just like you were, or those around you.
I also just have a piece of advice to go with that. This goes back to just the marketing this as a community thing. I think a lot of my generation, particularly people maybe a couple years older than me who've just gone out of college, are really kind of lonely, and they're looking for people to talk to. I know a lot of my friends who've recently graduated are like, how do I meet people? What do? I don't have this inbuilt social network of college. And I'm looking forward to after college, wherever I end up, there's probably going to be ham radio people that I can talk to. And that's a big draw for me. And I think that maybe going down that route of when you talk to young people, advertising it is good.
And I just have a comment. I'm really glad to see that somewhere we're not just talking about this problem, we're trying things and really starting in, because we have to feel our way through. And you're certainly a group that has gone through some of the process of becoming a ham radio operator, and we will learn from you as well as pushing forward and trying new things.
Just a general comment. I'm an engineer, and when I go to various technical societies meetings, and even going back to my time in the Air Force Auxiliary Civil Air Patrol as a communications officer, when I went to various staff colleges, communication schools, things like that, and now in the professional engineering space, one of the first things I do when I sign in is I put my call sign, and then I also wear a call sign badge at the meeting, and it's like, oh yeah, and you're going to meet other hams. Or when I go online, I give my call sign, and that led me to getting on a standards committee of the American National Standards Institute on version 2.0 of their 425-page unmanned aerial vehicle drone standard, which I coordinated with league headquarters to get it right. But do that. When you're a ham, you sign in, I don't care what it is, sign in with your call sign. And also for all of you others that aren't in the engineering space, when you go somewhere, wear your call sign badge. Put your call sign in, sign in with your call sign. Don't let it be known. You'll be surprised what comes out of the woodwork at you. It's like, oh yeah, hi there.
Yeah, I've actually been meaning to put my call sign into my Instagram bio. I think it will confuse some people my age, but I just want to put it out there. And
I just added mine to my email signature.
Yay!
Yes.
I don't think any of us have done contests yet, but actually one of the things that we did in the program is we had nets about once a month to get all of us on the air and talking to each other and go through what that felt like.
Yeah, you gotta lose your hero.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in the program where the first couple times they're on air, they're like, no comments, really timidly. And it takes a couple times to get people talking.